So it is probably the most contrived gerrymandering I have ever seen. At many levels in many dimensions. Why does city? So let's say everybody right in here wanted to join the city, and they all signed the petition. That's a no-brainer, it's non-contentious. That's how virtually all of the annexations that have occurred to date on the south side have occurred. But of course, not all people go together in the same thing. So you have series of little unanimous annexations that give us this present irregular pattern with some city-owned property. But then there are also some people that are still town as islands in the city because they haven't wanted to annex. Now, once it's surrounded, the city could actually force an island. But the city historically hasn't wanted to force owners against their will. If I owned that, I would request annexation. I'd have city sewer and water. I've got highway right-of-way and things that would be contiguous. That would make perfect sense. Now, there's another way to do it that's a complex rule. That's the non-unanimous. And that's the one that's rarely used. It's almost always contested, and that's the one they used. And they had to because there's no way they could get unanimous consent for all of this land to get annexed so that this would be contiguous. So whenever you have a large chunk of land distant from the city that is now being connected, because annexations have to be contiguous, that's now being connected by something much less substantial, it's a functional balloon on a string. So the connection is a property here that County Trunk EE, Wheaton Creek is right here, is a residential property here that we'll look at in a few minutes. So that's the point of connection. Then it includes the western end of the Riverdale Golf Course. Guy Miller did not sign a petition. Then the city owns an L-shaped parcel like this. This portion of it is quite developable. This is mostly wooded wetland and not really developable. Then it crosses the middle of these two parcels. So this parcel would be town, city, town. So it goes right across the middle of somebody's land. Then it goes across this parcel, but not all of this parcel. Now it jumps back to include a southern part of the golf course. Then it includes this property that has no residents, so it's not a petition signer. It's this property. Here's Nina Staples. She signed. And then here's the driveway to a Kohler subdivision that's been slow to develop over the last 30 years. They skipped that, but Kohler included the driveway. This is Kohler land here. They included their land. They included the state park. The state park wasn't even asked about a petition, so the state park is not a signer of the petition. To meet the electorate quality, there were so few electorates because Guy Miller doesn't live on this property. This parcel's in an estate. The guy died not long ago. There's no electorate there. There's a vacant house. So to get 5 signatures, they bought that house, as John described. So that's now, so the petition signers other than Kohler interests are this house, and Nina Staples. That's the composition to nominally meet petition requirements. For annexations, the Department of Administration is required to do a review. Is that proposed annexation in the public interest or not? Quite surprisingly, Department of Administration decided that this is in the public interest for 2 reasons. They said, well, number one, we think the city can provide services better to that land than the town. And number 2, we think that land is of urban nature.
So by that they were referring to the entire annexation area as being described as urban in nature.
Well, that, and we'll get to each piece of it. So here's County Trunk EE, Wheaton Creek Road. This is 18th Street. So there was a house recently built here, and that's a city lot. This is a city lot, and these are city lots. These folks in this green area haven't wished to annex to the city, but some of them did. So this is part of that irregular boundary. Then this lot is in the city. It's kind of a nice high-end house here that has a driveway off of the east end of I think this might be Riverdale Avenue, and it has a private well, and it discharges to Town of Wilson sanitary sewer. Don't know why this landowner wanted to be annexed to the city, but most of that land is floodplain wetland. So that lot can't be developed any more than it is, but it is the connection. So then, so this is the connection to the city, which narrows through this floodplain right here. So the west end of the Riverdale Golf Course, then this portion of city-owned land that's actually an L shape here. The southern part of the L is farmland. It could be developed in the future. Along the west side of the golf course is still farmland, but most of this city-owned lot is wooded wetland here, so that can't be developed. Then it crosses the middle of this guy's property in woods. Now it involves a bit of the golf course, and then we get to this little detail that we can zoom in on that includes the petitioners. So of this connecting string, now the red are the people that signed the petition. 2 renters in this house, Nina Staple, the owner here, and none of the rest of her land can be developed because it's this area is all wooded wetland and floodplain, so her lot cannot be further developed. Then there's that Zintek house that has, those are the owners that are renters. And then the driveway to a wooded subdivision of Kohler's, and then now that's connecting to the property.
So Kohler's subdivision is in the town of Wilson?
Yes, it is.
And he's not requesting that that be included in the annexation to the
Correct.
city?
And it's already served by, all of these lands are served by town sanitary system. So now we see the nature of these lands, and now we can jump back to the target land. This portion is State Park. It was deeded by Kohler Company in 1961 or 65 on the condition that it remain natural, remain accessible to all of public, and if that's ever violated, Kohler can take it back. In fact, it goes right back to John Michael Kohler, who had a very strong environmental ethic and public access ethic, and that was the basis of that donation. And then the Kohler parcel is undeveloped woodland, and then the petition includes a large part of the state park down here. The proposed zoning here is SR5, which is City of Sheboygan, up to 5 residential lots per gross acre. It's the highest single-family density zoning in the city. This is proposed by the city to be SR5. In fact, all of this. We're still baffled why SR5. That would be
Even beyond just a golf course, he could change his mind altogether and decide, well, we want to put homes in there instead.
in fact, if it were to be rezoned, you cannot deny that once it's become a permitted use.
Kohler is negotiating, they're holding that annexation carrot out on a stick to the city in exchange for the city to approve a conditional use permit for them to build a golf course.